Once You Kiss a Stranger, written by Pat Herbert, narrated by Bernadette Homerski. Copyright 2019 by Pat Herbert. Prologue. Petra Tyler. Looking back, there are things I probably would have done differently. I suppose we can all say that with the benefit of hindsight. But if I'd never gone onto that internet dating site, would my life have been better or worse now? I think, on balance, I'm better off. After all, the big pluses in my life are my new husband and baby Matty. Those I wouldn't change for anything. And what happened to Becca can't be put down to the internet. That would have happened without its help, unfortunately. To think it was Becca who encouraged me to go onto the net to look for a man in the first place seems wrong somehow now. She was always concerned that I'd never find the right man. Being the wrong side of 35 and the inevitable body clock ticking away, she thought it was high time I found someone I could settle down with. Mind you, she'd tried marriage twice and hadn't been successful. Why she thought I'd have any better luck, I don't know. However, the luck seemed to be all on my side at first. This gorgeous man replied to my post within 24 hours. He wasn't interested in me as a person, of course. He'd fallen for the picture of Becca that I'd posted on the site. Being much more photogenic than me, I stupidly thought I'd stand a much better chance of getting someone halfway decent. That was my first mistake. The deceit and the misunderstandings multiplied from there. I wouldn't mind if that was all that happened. Becca's picture of her in a bikini on a beach in Marbella was innocent enough in itself. But I tell you this, you don't need to hold a black mass to summon up the devil. All you need is the click of a mouse. 1. Petra Dawes had never been very sociable. Any gathering of more than, say, 4 people usually daunted her. When she was in her teens, friends were always roping her in to go to some rave or other at someone's house in God-forsaken places like Nun Head or Pratt's Bottom. Her more boisterous friends would drag her into their clapped-out death traps, euphemistically called cars, and drive her round the dark streets looking for the relevant addresses. It often took most of the night to find the right place, and when they eventually arrived, most people were sparked out on the floor listening to, and more horrifically joining in with, Neil Sedaka singing Our Last Song Together, or else the whole of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon album was playing to reverential and cannabis-ridden silence. Either way, these scenarios terrified her. If by any chance they arrived at a reasonable hour, then she would head for the kitchen where cans of lager and bottles of dodgy wine were usually spread out over every available surface. Here she would hide away with a slowly warming Coke in her hand, praying that some dickhead wouldn't seek her out to tell her the story of his life while fiddling with her bra strap. She had always been unsure of her sex appeal, even though a lot of men had fancied her in the past, and still did. She perceived her older sister, Becca, as far more attractive than herself, and this had dogged her throughout her life. She had always lived in Becca's shadow, and this was at the bottom of her lack of confidence. But Petra was an attractive woman, despite her own misgivings. She was in her late 30s, but looking a good few years younger. Slim and elegant, with fine blonde hair cut in a stylish bob and expressive grey-green eyes. By contrast, Becca, short for Rebecca, was a lush 40-year-old brunette, full-lipped with deep blue eyes and a figure a woman 20 years younger would die for. Their differences in looks was echoed in other ways too. In fact, they had practically nothing in common, as Petra always seemed to hate what Becca loved, and vice versa. Books, films, music, whatever. They disagreed over them all. Except they both quite liked Dustin Hoffman. Petra had never really wanted to get married.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?